You know, we talk about different style of baits and transitioning into the fall category before that fall bite turns red hot, where you're just throwing the kitchen sink in the water. Some of the baits that I downsized to are going with what the food source is. Of course, they still eat crawdads, bluegills, and they still eat the shad imitations and the delta smelt and any of the smaller species, maybe carp and all that other good stuff. But what I like to focus in on it is I downsize that and I just group them together. And I work those baits. And I'll kind of explain the type of baits that I'm going at. I make it simple, stupid. I think that most anglers over-search and overwork their different style lures. We're going to make it simple, stupid for you guys today. Take a look, pan to the left, and let's take a look at them. It's a basic variety of jigs, worms, crankbaits, and jerkbaits made by several different companies. And I make it simple because I truly believe that you'll catch fish on anything you believe in. If you believe in what you're throwing, you're going to catch fish. For instance, I'm going to throw right off the bat deep diving crankbaits. Okay, this is a Strike King number 5. This is the sexy shad color. Now, it's a deep diver, and what this does for me is it gets me out on the low tide outside the line, and it deflects off of the outside weed lines. I'm going to throw this bait in a new 15-pound test, trilene line, regular mono, not fluorocarbon. I want it to bounce off your targets and then float back up. By bouncing off that target and floating back up will give me that deflection I want. With fluorocarbon line, the bait will sit in the water too long down and I can get hung up more. So I don't want that. I want that bait to deflect. Now, the color selection that I'm going to work with are my shad imitations, crawdad imitations, whether it is the red, brown, or a green, depending on the body of water that you're fishing. Okay? Bluegill colors, whether it's some with chartreuse in it. I like this one, bull brim. It's got a little red, chartreuse, and black. Gives a little bit of color variations, but there's several different kinds. Chartreuse and blue, chartreuse and white. Something that has a chartreuse, because this time of year you can see the green-eared perch. A lot of green-eared perch, and you can see their tail showing that little bit of green on the outside. So chartreuse is a very important color. Okay? So next we're going to go with our rip baits. These are Ima flits, okay? And the shad imitations, whether you go with the standard white bottom with the gray back, with a little bit of orange on the throat, giving it that gill flash look. Outstanding baits. Now, the key on a rip bait is, a suspending rip bait, is to not have it drive all the way down the bottom. You got to keep it and look at your depth finder, watch that depth. If you're not watching that depth, if you're fishing 8 feet of water and you're driving it down and the weeds are in 7 feet of water and you're driving it down into 7 feet of water, you're in the weeds all the time. So if you see that it's 7 feet of water, 8 feet of water, drive it down to about 4 feet of water. And then you can work that bait down and hit that structure and hold it there just above it. If you're fishing clear enough water, you're not going to have any problem catching fish on rip bait. If sunlight is good for you, having something that has a glimmer to it, some type of a flash to it, can work to your advantage. Because when you're jolting in the water, you'll see that the bait can change colors, which a lot of fish do. It's kind of that chameleon look. The bait deflects, it rotates like this, it has a diving point, and then that bait will flicker, and so it'll give you that flicker look to it, which is always good on certain times of the day. Low light visibility, you want something just a little bit of flash. If it's sunny, real sunny, sometimes that's a hindrance. So change it up a little bit. Okay? The jig. Oh! Persuader's E-chip jig. You know, we talked about the E-chip many times in a lot of my seminars and catching a lot of fish. It's done really well, and people that are out there that really throw a lot of jigs know that it's a great bait. Keeping the bait in the structure zone, not hopping it, doing the old waggle. The jig sits there. What we do is just rock it, okay? Just moving that bait up and down just by rocking it. If you're hopping it, these fish don't feel good. Their tendency is they don't want to chase after it too much. So just let it sit. When it hits the bottom, let the skirt flange. When the skirt flanges, you rock it, the skirt will do enough movement by itself, and then you can lift it, it'll pendulum towards you, let it fall again, work the same thing over again. Slow, methodical, makes that big fish eat. I tip it. A lot of times I'll do a couple different trailers. One, I'll use Persuader's jig craw trailer, which gives me the opportunity to match up the jig because it's made by the same company. It makes it really simple. If you want a compact bait, that's a really good way to do it. If you want something that's going to give you a little more flip action, that would be the Chigger Craw by Berkley. The Chigger Craw, if you move it at all, the little tails start waggling, can be good. So it's one of those things, again, you adjust it. If you want a little movement, go to one. If you want a little more movement, go to the other. Works out really good. Colors, again, it's typical colors. Black and blues, green pumpkins, black and reds. Then you have the brown and purple, so you get that brown and purple color combination. And black and blue, black and red. Can't get any easier than that. The size of the jigs depend on the weather. If you can get away with light, go light. But if you're fishing the deeper water, you might just have to go the deeper one. So you've got to keep in contact. Most anglers, when they're fishing a jig, really don't keep in contact at the bottom. Their line's slack. They don't know they're on the bottom. And when they get that strike, the line doesn't twitch. Oh, I never felt that bite. It's because when the bait was coming down, the fish was here, the bait was coming down, and the fish came over and went, you never felt the bite because there was slack in the line, and now the fish has it. And you're going, didn't get bit. So you lift it up and you go, oh, that's something. And you go, pooh. He spits it out. You go, oh, man, I just got a big bite. A bass can blow out a bait harder than he can draw it in. So if you feel a giant bite and you missed him, percentages, he's had it a long time, and he was blowing it out. It happens to me, happens to every good angler out there. So be constructive and know what the depth is that you're throwing in. So if it goes down 5 feet and you're in 8 feet of water, pretty much that there's a fish that meets you halfway. Realize that. Keeping conscious, depth finder, fishing lures you're fishing. And last but not least, probably the best for every angler that wants to go out there and have a good time is the shaky style heads. A couple different out there. If you're going to fish around heavy cover, okay, I would recommend, this is made by True Tungsten. This is their shaky head that's got a real pointy head, so it covers through the weeds. They make a round one for rocks. So if you're fishing rocks, use a round head, but this one is the narrow one. If I'm fishing around weeds, you can throw this one. You rig it up Texas style, usually from anywhere from 12, 10, 8-pound test line. Throw it out there, barely move it. Got a power worm here, Berkley power worm, hand pour. One of my favorites this time of year. Just get that bait on the bottom and twitch it. Keeping the bait on the bottom, but just twitch it. This is a closed hook situation. You won't lose as many because it's closed. I fished this on the high tide, in and around the structure, off the edges. Works really well. Now, if I'm fishing low tide, like it is today, I'm going to go to the Zappu head. The Zappu head allows me to fish along the bottom with an open hook concept, 1/8 ounce or 3/16, depending on the weather. Lighter, the better, makes the bait move more. So I'm going to rig it up, the same style worm, 6-inch power worm, hand pour, 3 colors, usually purples, browns, or greens. And then I'm going to rig that Zappu head up like a wacky style, and I'm going to work that bait. Now, I rig it a couple different ways. I rig it like this for a couple different reasons. One, the water resistance has the tendency to push it as I move the bait. It'll push this worm. And when it pushes this worm, it makes the worm shudder more. The round side, the water deflects across the edges of it. So that's why I like to use the flat side. As the worm's being pulled like this, you can see that the flat part is facing up. The water resistance is going to push this down and is going to make this bait wobble more. Okay, so when we have that bait, also if you noticed, and I'm going to try to get the camera guy, I'm going to lay it flat. Sometimes if I move it too much, I've been told it won't focus. But if you look at this real carefully, you'll notice that the weight and the worm is up off my hand. So the point here won't touch the bottom. Very important. If you hook it up standard wacky rig, which I'll do it real slow, like this, in the middle, when you put it in your palm of your hand, the bait will roll over and get stuck in the hand as it's sitting on the bottom. So you'll lose a lot of baits this way. If you rig it in sideways, the worm density of the top where the hook is, if you put it dead center, the top part of the bottom part is equal to the distance of the weight. And that's why I rig it this way. Instead of going through the worm, I go to the side of the worm. Bring it around, and now if you lay it flat, you'll see that the hook is up off the bottom and you won't lose as many baits. These are my selections this time of year. When that tough fishing occurs and the water temperature is still in that 60 category, I stay with these. And as that temperature mellows out, that surface bite will come on, the OB minnow wake bait, popping walkers, those style of baits, buzz baits start to happen again. The big 10-inch power worm starts working it. All that starts to come up, but until that time, stay with the basics and you won't go wrong. You'll catch a lot more fish.